Hello there and welcome. In this episode, we're going to continue adding functionality to our bear. One of the things that we want to add is the option to hurt the bear and kill him. And we also want to let the bear or any animal that we decide to create to hurt the player. So this will be something new because the player never received damage before. We do have a health bar, but we never inflicted damage on the player. We do have a way to hunt down animals, and if you remember, we did add this for our rabbits. It was, I think, in episode 31, we had the option to hunt down the rabbits using the axe. So we're going to use the same system. Of course, as I mentioned previously, for the rabbits, we're using a very old AI movement script, so you can just delete your old rabbits and create new rabbits using this template, okay? Because this one is using the AI navigation, the NavMesh agent, and this is the proper way to move animals and creatures, so you can just create rabbits instead of these bears or in addition to them. And of course, all you need to do is change the actual model that you're using and to change the animations. So first of all, let's just have an option to hurt the player. And for this, we have our player state. So if we open our, let's say, system, player state system, this is some kind of singleton, and it has the different attributes. It has the health, the calories, hydration, oxygen, and all the different things that we want the player to have. And this is very helpful because this way we can simply reduce it from here and we don't need any other references. So we're going to open this script. Inside of the player state script, we are going to add a method to basically deal damage to the player. We do have this set health method, but this is just something to actually access the health and reduce it or add to it. So we want to have a method that will deal damage. So public void take damage. We're going to receive the damage. And then we're going to take our current health and reduce the damage. Of course, we can also use this one, the set health, but this will be used for different things. This is more specific to actually reducing the damage. Then after we do this, we're going to check if the health is below 0. If current health is below 0, then we're going to basically kill the player. We're going to deal with this later, but here you're going to add all the logic for the player death. Else, this is if the player receives damage but is not dead. So we can add different sounds over here and things like that, okay? And we're going to use this in a moment. Now that we have this method, we are going to open our bear attack state and add some attacking functionality. So if we select our bear and we click on the animator and we go to the attack state, we're going to open this script. And inside we're going to add a few fields. The first one will be a public float attack rate, because different animals will attack with a different rate. Maybe someone is faster, someone is slower, and of course sometimes the animations need to be synchronized. So this is the attack rate, and then we have a private float attack timer. This will just be the timer for the attack, and private int damage to inflict. So this is the actual damage that this bear is going to do. Then we're going to scroll down into the state update, and just after the look at player, we're going to add the attack logic. So if the attack timer is smaller than 0, so if it reached 0, we're going to attack. So this is a method we still don't have. And we're going to take the attack timer and we're going to divide it by 1 and the attack rate. Because imagine if we just leave it this way inside the update method, it's going to attack every frame. So it doesn't make any sense. We need to set some kind of rate so it will attack every second or every half second or every 5 seconds. But if we just leave it this way, it's going to attack every frame and it's going to be very fast, and we don't want this. Else, we're simply going to take the attack timer and we're going to reduce delta time, so basically just let the counter count down. Now we're going to generate this attack method. So we're going to do this over here. Private void attack. And inside, all we're going to do is take our player state. And because it's a singleton, we don't need a reference to it. And we're going to take damage, which is basically the player, right? The player is going to take damage. And in a survival game, we only have our own player. We don't have different players. We don't have different units. We only have one player. So this way, we don't need to guess which player is going to get attacked by the bear. We're going to only have one player that can be attacked. And we're going to provide it with the damage to inflict. So the damage to inflict is this 1 over here. Of course, you can play around with this. Maybe your bear is stronger, let's say 5 or something like this. But this will be something you can play around with. And then we're going to pass it inside. It's going to go over here into the player state, and it's going to reduce 1 out of the current health. So if the player max health is 100, let's see, where is it? I think we're setting this in the inspector. So if the max health is 100, it means it will take a while for the bear to actually kill the player, but you can play around with this. At this point, it will reduce 1 hit point every second, okay? So this damage to inflict over here means hit points per second. And it's per second because over here we say that the attack rate is 1 second. Okay, so you can play around with all of this. This is something you can adjust based on the animation. Some animations will be slower, some will be faster, and if you want it to really look good, then you can just adjust this. Now you also need to understand, if it's not clear, that this state machine is not only for the bear. We did name it bear attack state, but this should be on every kind of animal or creature, because they will all use the same logic. Now, if you want them to have the same logic. So instead of naming it bear attack state, we're just going to rename it to creature attack state. So it will be more generic and we're not going to get confused. And we're going to rename all the other states. So bear chase state. Let's rename it to creature chase state, and then bear idle state, creature idle state, and bear walk state. And when you rename it, don't rename it like this. Okay, this is not good. This will not rename the script. You need to go right click and rename like this, and this will actually refactor the name and the script name. So creature walk state. So now if we save all of this and we go to our animator and we click over here, we can see that this is just a creature attack state or chase state. This is not just for the bear. So we're going to take this same animator, and basically not the same animator because this animator is using the bear animation, but we can use the same states and place them on different animals, on rabbits, on wolves, and whatever other animal you want to create. So you don't need to create a state machine for each animal. You don't need to have a rabbit walk state and a horse walk state. You just have this generic creature walk state, because there is nothing bear specific inside of the code over here. As you can see, there is nothing that is unique for the bear. All of the things that you can change over here. So if you want the animal or the creature to be faster, you just change it over here. If you want the detection area to be bigger, you just change it over here. And each animal will have its own state machine. Now, if everything is saved and we run the game for a moment and we click on our player state so we can see the max health and the current health, and we press on play, and we go next to the bear and the bear enters into the attack state, we can see that the current health goes down, and we can also look at the health bar. We can see that it goes down 1 hit point every second. And it's good that the animation is also running each second. So it's almost synchronized. If the animation was slower, you could obviously make the animation slower, but you can also change the attack rate. So you should adjust the animation to the attack rate just so it will look good, okay? And of course, 1 is not enough, so we can always go to our bear and change, well, it's not here. Yes, because it's not public, so let's just go to the creature attack state, and we're going to make this public as well. So the damage to inflict should be public because we want to change it, and we're not going to set anything over here. But over here, we're going to make sure that we have some kind of value. Let's say 5 or 10 or something like this. Again, each animal will have its own machine, and each animal will have a different value. So now our player can get hurt by the bear if the player is close enough, if the bear is inside the attack state. Now, maybe you don't want it to work this way. You don't want the bear to just inflict damage when he is in the attack state, because what if the player runs away but the bear is still in the attack state? It can take like 1 second or 2 seconds before it goes back to another state. So the player will still receive damage. So you can polish this, you can adjust this. Another way to deal with these attacks is something that I did in my FPS series with the zombies. I think it was episode 18. So you simply add some kind of transform, let's say to the palm of the bear. And then each time the bear attacks, it will move this transform and it will hit the player box collider, and then the player will have a trigger check, and it will check if this transform entered into the box collider, it will reduce the damage. So this is something more suitable for animals that actually have some kind of attacking, let's say, hand, or maybe you put it on the teeth over here, or maybe it's some kind of soldier with a sword, so you simply put this transform on the sword. But with some models, it's going to be a bit harder because you can't really have some kind of transform that will go into the player and hit the player. So these are 2 options you can have for damage infliction. The next thing we want to do is for the bear to actually receive damage. Now we actually have this already. As I told you, we did this for the rabbits in episode 31. And if we go to our prefabs, no, actually our resources, and we have our axe model and also the axe inventory item. On our axe model, or actually on our axe inventory item, we can see that we have this weapon script. And for now, the weapon damage is 0, but let's say let's make it 10, okay? So this is the weapon damage, and of course you can have more weapons, and later we're going to create more weapons and we're going to have different damage for each weapon. But the point of this script, it doesn't really do anything. It's just a script with a weapon damage, okay? And then when we attack the bear, it's going to take this weapon damage and it's going to inflict it on the bear. This is what we did with our rabbits. So this is a very simple script, and it goes on this axe inventory item. So it doesn't go on the actual model. It goes on the inventory item, so we know what is the damage to inflict. But we're going to see how it actually works, because all of this is happening inside our selection manager. So if we go to our selection manager, we can see that we have this case over here. If we detect an animal, and the player is in range and the animal is dead, then we can loot it. But if the animal is not dead, then if we use a weapon and we have some kind of weapon equipped and we also have this swing lock, then we're going to deal damage to this animal, okay? So, and of course we also have this method to get the weapon damage. So we're going to use this system. Again, you can use other systems. Like I told you, we have the system in our FPS game where we just add some kind of tag on our weapon, and then when the weapon hits the bear, then the bear will also have a box collider and it will detect if this tag collided with the bear, and this will inflict damage. So there are different ways to inflict damage. We're going to use this animal script that we already created, and if you don't remember, just go to episode 31. And this get weapon damage, what it does, it basically just gets the weapon script and it takes this weapon damage, okay? So now we're going to use this animal script and place it on our bear. So let's go back over here, and now we have our bear, and we're going to add our animal script, and we're going to give it a name. So let's say bear, and we have the same script on our rabbits, right? So if we go to our prefabs, animal rabbit, we have the same animal script. We have the name, we have the help, we have different effects for the splashing of the blood and the puddle. We also have the different sounds, and we also have this lootable script, so we can have loot. So we're going to add all of this to our bear as well. So we click on the bear, we have this animal script. We're going to set the max health to 100, and we're going to set all these things in a moment. First of all, we want to add box colliders to this bear because at this point it doesn't have any box colliders. So let's just add a box collider that will be the actual core of the bear, and this will get hit or just be a collider for the player to collide with. Let's just like this. So this one will be a regular box collider, but we're also going to add another one that will be much wider and bigger, and this will be the area that the player needs to be in to attack the bear, okay? So this will be a bit wider, and this one will be is trigger. This is important. The area one should be is trigger, and the core one should be not trigger. And as I told you, we're also going to add the lootable script. So we have this lootable script, lootable script, and here we decide the different possible loots. So we're going to just take some kind of prefab, not a prefab, but an inventory item. We have this raw meat. So we're going to drag it over here. Let's say one possible loot. And this loot will be this raw meat, and the minimum amount will be 1, and the max amount will be 2. So it may drop 1, and it may drop 2. And this is the only item that we're going to have for the bear for the loot, but of course you can add more things if you want to. Now before we go to this animal script that we need to adjust, because you can see that it uses hard-coded words, for example, rabbit hit scream, rabbit hit and die. We don't want this to be specific for an animal. This is a general animal script. This should be generic. So we're going to change these names. But before that, we want to add the blood puddle and the blood splash particle. If I'm not mistaken, we never actually took it out. So if we go to our prefab and animals, we have this inside of the rabbit. We have this particle system for the splashes, and we have the blood puddle. So let's just drag it out and create an original prefab. And let's also take the blood puddle and also drag it out. We're going to rename this to blood effect. And now we're going to click on our bear, and we're going to take this blood puddle and this blood effect, and we're going to make them children of the bear. Now, this is the part where you need to actually adjust it. So let's just enable the puddle. And it's very small. Let's just make it bigger. Now, this may be too big, but it's up to you. So just find the position, make sure it's above the ground, and then just disable it because it should be disabled in the beginning. And you can also unpack it from being a prefab, it doesn't really matter. And the blood effect, you can play. And you can see that it's also very small. So let's increase it to 1, 1, 1. Let's play. And this is actually the hit. Okay, so now it's bigger. Let's just play. Okay, so it's too big. Let's do 0.5. Now, at this point, you should just play around with this. This will take you your own design skills. Let's put it over here. Okay, something like that. And now we're going to disable it. Let's see. Now, we don't need to disable it because we're going to play it when we need it. So we have the blood effect. Let's also unpack it because we don't want the changes that we do later to affect this bear. So the bear will have the blood puddle and it will have the blood effect. And now we're simply going to drag the blood puddle into the blood puddle and the blood effect into the blood splash particle. Okay? And we also want to change a few other things, but we're going to do this after we adjust our script. So inside the animal script, we're going to change this rabbit scream and rabbit die to something more generic because this is a generic script. So we're going to right click, rename to animal hit and scream and animal hit and die. And we can add more sounds, for example, animal idle or animal attack or something like this. Okay, now that we have this, we also want to add another enum for the bear. We don't have a lion or a snake, so we can just delete them for now. So we have a rabbit and we have a bear. And over here, let's see what we need to change. We have this animator for the die animation. We're going to deal with this in a moment. We don't want to use this AI movement anymore. If this script is on your rabbit and you do want to use this AI movement, you can just create some kind of if condition and check if this animal type is rabbit, then use this thing over here. Otherwise, it's going to use the navmesh agent. But if we already have the navmesh agent, it doesn't make any sense to use this old AI movement. So I'm just going to delete it from this script, okay? And just make sure that your rabbits are now using the new AI navigation. Other than that, let's go over here and have the puddle. We also want to have a case for the bear. And we don't need to play different sounds. We're just going to play the same sound. We don't even need to have this switch because it will always be the same sound, okay? So we play the dying sound. And to do this, we're just going to remove all of this and play the dying sound, okay? Animal, hit, and die. And for the hit sound, we're going to remove this entire switch. And we're going to play this hit and scream sound, okay? Because right now, this animal script is generic, so it will only be on one animal, so we don't need to guess or do some kind of switch case to understand which kind of animal it is. It will be only this animal. Now, we do need to add a few more things. For example, this audio source. So let's save this script. Let's go to our bear and let's add the sound channel. So we simply add an audio source and we drag it over here into the sound channel. We are going to disable display on awake. And we still need to have these sounds, but we're going to deal with these sounds later. We need to find sounds for the bear, and we're going to change the animal type to be bear, okay? So we should have all these references and the health, but we don't need the sounds right now. We're going to do this later. When you have sounds, just drag them into these slots, okay? Now, if we go to our rabbit, for example, because we changed the script, we can see that the sounds disappeared. So we can simply find these sounds and drag them here again. And also we don't have the movement anymore. We have this AI movement, but we're not using it inside of the script. So we can just remove it. We can add the NavMesh agent. We can have a state machine on the rabbit, but you can do this. You already know how to do it because we did this with the bear. All you're going to do is basically create a new animator or even duplicate the bear animator. Let's just see how it goes. This is not a tutorial about the rabbit. The idea is that you simply take this bear animator, you duplicate it, you rename it to rabbit animator, and then you go to your prefabs, animals, rabbit, you change the animator to rabbit animator, okay, and then you remove this AI movement script, and you can also remove the rigid body if you want. But now that you have this, we can actually go to this animator and just make sure that it's the rabbit animator, okay? So you select the rabbit. Where is it? You select the rabbit, and then you change these animations. You change it to the rabbit animation and to the chase state and to the attack state. And again, because it's a rabbit and the rabbit should not chase us, right? It should run away. This may not be the best example for using the same animator, but you can just create other states. You can have a walk state, and that's it. It will have a walk state and it will go to the idle. Walk, idle, walk, idle. And for example, you can have a runaway state that when he detects that the player is near, he will run away. So we don't need an attack state, okay? But this will happen inside the rabbit animator. It's not going to happen inside the bear animator. But that's the way you actually use this new NavMesh agent. Of course, you also need to add this NavMesh agent. You can simply go over here, copy component, go to your rabbit, and then click anywhere, paste component, and now the rabbit will have this NavMesh agent as well. So again, there are probably a few more things that you need to do, but you simply do the same thing that we did with the bear. Now, we're going to go back to this bear, and we're going to make sure that we have everything. And another thing that we want to do is go to our player camera and make sure that the clipping is as small as possible, because when the bear is going to attack us, it's going to be very close to the camera. So we don't want it to clip through the camera. So we're going to make it something very small as possible, okay? Now let's see if everything is working and if I did not forget anything. Oh, of course, we need a weapon. So we have our axe. Let's go to our resources and add this axe to our inventory system. So player, canvas, inventory system. Let's add it to this slot over here. And now let's run the game. Let's also select the bear so we can see the health of the bear. Obviously, we're going to create a health bar for the bear, but for now we just want to see that it's getting hurt. So we have the health over here. So again, if we're near the bear can attack us, and then we're going to lose health. You can see that now it's way faster. If we run away and we equip our axe, now we can go near and we can attack the bear. And we can see the blood. And on the right side, you can see the current health of the bear. And eventually he's going to die, but we still don't have an animation. Let's just kill it before he kills us. And now it was destroyed because we still don't have any animation, but it dropped this raw meat, okay? When we are going to have an animation, it's just going to lay there and we're going to loot it, okay? So for now, everything is working. Later, we're going to add a health bar, we're going to add animations, and it's going to look better and better. You can see that it's looking for this parameter die, but we still don't have it, so we're going to add it later. Now, if you got these errors over here, it's just because we probably killed the bear, but we lost reference to the waypoints, and then it tried to get this over here. So don't worry about this. It's going to get removed, and it's not going to appear when we're going to finish adding the animations and all the other things. So that's all for this episode. Thank you for watching. In the next episode, we're going to add a few more things to the bear and basically be done with our bear or basically any other animal that you want. So now it's just up to you to create more animals or creatures or enemies. And then we're going to start working on some new weapons for our player. We're going to create a bow and arrows to be able to attack the bear from a distance. So it's going to be a bit different, but we also want to see how it's done. So again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. You can also become a member of the channel by joining, and it will give you access to our private server, our private Discord server, where you can talk with other people. You can get replies much faster. But of course, this is just optional. This is just if you want to support the channel. So I'll see you next time.